Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new series in the Scale the Good podcast. In this series, we will take you behind the scenes to meet some of the individuals in the Climate Adaptation Program. So, to kick off the program, we will introduce you to a chat between Christina Gunasinghe and Pascal Gavotto. Christina was the business expert and Pascal our tourism expert. They will take us on a journey through their career paths to date and give us some insight to their experiences during the Accelerator program. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, hello. My name is Pascal Gavotto. I'm a tourism specialist and I've been working in Sri Lanka for the last 7 years. I'm originally from France and then I live here in Sri Lanka and working on tourism.
Hi, I'm Christina. I am a business consultant. I have been a business consultant for about 6, 7 years now. Yeah. Okay, so first question. Shall I read it out?
Yes, please.
Journey to expertise. Take us to the beginnings of your journey. What were the motivations and choices you made? How did it set you on your current path?
Well, okay, I guess I start well. My journey could be quite long now to tell, but I think I always been trying to support others, and I realized that doing consulting work is great because you support others and you make a living. And I start to do that from the beginning of my career. Um, because I've been in business all my life, I decided to try to share. And I first started with a very large company, PwC, to name it. And then around all my life, I've been working on consulting with SMEs. Yes.
So PwC in France?
PwC in France first for 10 years,
Okay.
yeah. And then midlife crisis, and then moving to the Pacific Island where I started to specialize in tourism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
So, like going back, I would say, yeah, to motivations and choices you made. Yeah, so I starting with school. I left after my O levels, and I wanted to. I love numbers, right? So I love doing accounting and related to business side. So I wanted to start my life from there onwards. I didn't want to do another 2, 3 years in school with my A levels and all that. So I immediately, I don't know, maybe that was not the right decision, or maybe I could have stayed longer, but I feel I wanted to start life and I wanted to be independent and do my own thing and try and find my path. So I started doing SIMA full time. So that's like an accounting, business management kind of program course. So I did that full time, and I also started working. I started working at a bank. And then from there onwards, I worked for an equity research company as well.
Oh,
So I think that kind of shaped a part of me, who I am today, because I learned so much about how to about big companies and corporates and the stock market, and how to like do reports on economy and consulting and all that. So yeah, but I feel like that first 6, 7 years of my life after school was about kind of, I would say, from a startup kind of point of view, that's like the R&D phase of my life. Like figuring out what I want to do. So I tried a lot of things. From banking to equity research and then I finally moved into a hotel chain. So it was a big hotel chain in Sri Lanka, and that was completely different, right? So I was in brand marketing there, and it was completely different to finance, obviously.
yes.
But it was again another part of who I am today, because I learned, from branding a company to the marketing side of it, and also working in a big company. I feel kind of it's needed. You have to I'm going completely off topic now, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
But, I feel like working for a big company, you get to learn how to deal with like so many things, and the structure is completely different. There's so much red tape, there's bureaucracy, and dealing with all those systems and all of that. And I feel that was needed for me as well. So from there, I knew that, okay, now I know what I want to do. And from there, I finished my master's while I was at this hotel chain as well. So from there, I realized, and it came off like, I wasn't still 100% sure that I wanted to get into consulting, but I did it as a project for a friend. One startup company, I helped them, start it up, and I did the whole proposal for them and all of that. And I realized, hey, this is something I really love doing, and I have the experience for it. I mean, from working with research to marketing and all of that. I mean, I kind of know what I'm doing, so I got into it. But of course, it was slow, right? So I just started off, and I was working on small projects and all of that. But it's something I really loved, and also it was really rewarding because like helping someone shape a business and getting it off the ground, it's something that I don't know, it just felt really good. Right?
Yeah.
So because I don't think I have an entrepreneur kind of mindset. I don't have that creativity, but from my point of view, I can help rebuild that idea and structure it, get it into a business. So that's what I feel I bring into the table and help contribute to like growing businesses. So there's something really rewarding in that, and that's why I wanted to pursue that.
I think you're absolutely right, and I'm going to tell you a story. As I was working in a big corporate,
Yeah.
PwC is I think 300,000,
Yeah.
and at one point you want to do your own thing,
Exactly.
and that's what I did, and I decided to invest in a hotel and build my own business. But frankly speaking, after 5 years running this hotel, I realized that consulting I was missing it,
Yeah.
this reward of helping someone and suddenly seeing him successful or developing. That's nothing like this. And also you go from one business to another one, so you just get the fun part, and then the operational part, you forget about it. So
Exactly.
that's very rewarding. And I remember, so that's what I did in the Pacific. In fact, I invest in tourism. And then suddenly this consulting work came to me again. And I remember someone came to me and said, you see this small island in the Pacific? We need to help them in tourism. They don't know what they are doing. Do you think we could do something? And I said, yes, but I don't believe in training as such. We should do something different, something more like into coaching and consulting, and offer them a chance to have a mirror effect and have somebody with experience to help them to develop.
Yeah.
And that's how I started my second life of consulting work, but specializing in tourism.
Yeah, and then you were doing it on your own. You were
Yes,
working.
yes.
Yeah. So
And then suddenly, from years to years, you realize that, yes, you're helping, but you also realize that all these SMEs, most of the time, that's exactly what they are missing, is somebody that can to talk to, and that's where it's really attractive, and that's what changed my life also, is to start to do that in the Pacific Island. Yeah.
and you get that sense of like achievement, when you see it up and running, you feel like you've achieved something as well. You helped someone achieve their dreams, and I don't know, it's a good feeling.
And a lot of time people are looking at me and said, but how do you know everything? How can you
Yeah.
always have the answer? And said, but in fact, consulting and coaching is not about having the answer.
No, that's true.
And when you find out that it's just a question of having your clients understanding where he wants to go and helping him and giving his kind of mirror effect
Yeah.
and helping him to find his way, his pathways, then
Yeah.
suddenly you realize that you don't need to be an expert in everything
for sure.
to help SMEs to develop.
Yeah, I'm still learning for sure. I mean, it'll always be a learning experience for us, right? I mean, we won't always be working with the same kind of industry. It'll be all different industries, and some industries we've never even worked with before. But then you realize that you learn so much from them as well, because for me, working with these startups, I think I learn more than sometimes I can give them as well, because they come from different backgrounds and they have so many amazing ideas, right? And so yeah, it's about
Yeah, and look at the chance we have. Normally in your career, you get to know three, if you're lucky, four different sectors.
true.
But if you're working on this kind of work, you can enjoy so many different business and sectors in 10 years or
Exactly.
7 years. I'm
Exactly.
sure you saw so many
True, true.
different industries that
Yeah.
you, in a whole lifetime you will not
Yeah.
have seen, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very rich also, and yeah,
Yeah.
we're having fun.
Okay.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Okay, what were some pivotal learning experience that you profoundly impacted your journey? The challenge you encountered and you overcame them. Do you want to start?
Okay. Okay, let's. Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned before, wait a sec. As I mentioned before, I think my work in different sectors, right? As in before I got into consulting, that is, that was a huge learning experience for me. Especially working at the hotel chain, right? I worked there for 3.5 years, I think, and that was a huge learning experience in terms of, again, like I said, working with a corporate, working on branding and all of that, and it kind of it's not just the learning as well, it was also I made so many contacts in terms of like how to deal with stakeholders, government agencies, to NGOs and all of that, and I gained so much of contacts as well that I use even to date, right? So that was, I think that was my biggest learning experience, and also I feel like from an educational perspective, so like I said, I wanted to start out on my own. So I was born and raised in Kandy. I studied in Kandy. I think you know Kandy, right? Central is. So yeah, from there, but the thing is, after school, I wanted to come to Colombo. I wanted to work here and study here. So as soon as I finished, I started my higher education in Colombo, and I feel like that. So I started life early, like by about 18, 19, I already had my first job, and I mean it's not that. Like I wouldn't say it's not that common in Sri Lanka, right? So and I moved out on my own. I was living with my brother for a while, but then I moved out on my own by about 2021. I already had my own place, and I did my studies on my own and all as well. So I feel like that really matured me.
Yeah, it's very fast.
Yeah, and made me like so independent in terms of my work as well, and which is why I wanted to start on my own. I feel rather than working for someone else, I wanted to do my own thing, and I after realizing that consulting is the way to go. I started off on my own by, I think, 25, 26, I guess. It could be earlier, I can't remember right now. But yeah, so that's my biggest learning experience, I feel, from my background to my background in working for a company as well. So yeah, is there anything else in this?
You know, that's remind me
Motivations, yeah.
about 10 years ago, you know, I was already in the tourism industry, and there was this revolution happening with the smartphone and internet's coming, tourism has always been a kind of traditional sector before. And suddenly, you discover that this technology is completely impacting your business. And that was the beginning of the online travel agent just starting up. And then, of course, because I was coming from this business industry and consulting industry, immediately catch up with it and try to master everything. And then I realized that for most of the SMEs, it's super difficult to learn this skill, this new technology. And everybody has a tendency to say, no, but it's not going to change. No, it's okay. No, and then suddenly the technology impact you, and that's what one of my biggest learning in tourism is when the technology completely revolutionized your industry.
True.
And then suddenly you have the one who are in it and the one who are not in it. And then they get excluded. And it was very, very obvious, especially in the Pacific Island where the countries are a little bit underdeveloped, So you can see suddenly this internet gap between the one who knows and the one who don't know. And then this learning, and I realized that I have this learning in me now because I was running my own tourism operation.
Yeah.
And then I have to transfer that because you cannot leave an industry without the industry to catch up with the world and the technology. And that's how I start to do a lot of consulting work, especially around digital in tourism, where there is a lot of catch up. I arrived in Sri Lanka, same thing. They don't connect the dots. Of course you have internet in Sri Lanka. Of course you have some good people that knows the technology, but most of the tourism industry, they're not into it too much. And that's why here I'm doing the same thing. How can we transfer this knowledge? How can we help people to use the technology better and evolve? And I remember with GLX we had one program on digital evolver, and that's where we also realized how much we can have SMEs progress in this country just by saying, do you know that you can do that? Do you know that we could do like this? And just change their way of looking at their own business.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still learning, because with this digital revolution, we are like catching up.
PR teams and communication teams have pretty much become redundant, like mainstream PR. And now to stay competitive in industry, like so many people need to have that digital skill, and it's in a way, yes, of course, it's really good to have. I mean, you need to progress, like companies need to, but then it's also tough for people who've been in the industry, like the hotel industry, to from mainstream PR to go into digital marketing is really tough. So I understand that.
And in this time in Sri Lanka where you need to redevelop, basically, I mean, you have to fill this gap. There is no way the SMEs will succeed without being strong on technology.
For sure.
At the same time, the one who are owning these SMEs now are in a generation where that was just the beginning of internet, so there really is a gap, and that's us as consultants. We need to help them to fill up the gap.
That's true.
That's the only way we can guarantee that the Sri Lankan SMEs will catch up and develop.
That's true. Did we answer that question? Okay, so next question. How important do you feel accelerators like the Climate Adaptation Accelerator are in shaping startups? Talk about resources, mentorship, and connections they provide.
Yeah, well, that's essential. I think this kind of work should be organized even by the government. We should take care of our SMEs properly. Because, look at some of our clients we had and we worked together.
Yeah.
They were alone in their garage.
No, for sure.
They didn't even understand what is accelerator. They just try to find their ways in the middle of nowhere alone. Sometimes with their wife trying to get some ideas, couple of friends. You find these small entrepreneurs, quite alone. No, and having this accelerator was suddenly, you just help them to think differently, to look broadly, to have some other option, and suddenly you see that they are getting their business model together, they are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, my feeling, I don't know if you share the same, but my feeling is that these people are alone. Entrepreneurs are alone.
That's true.
And being alone in Sri Lanka to do business is not easy. You know? So accelerators is really essential to help them to grow, really.
What is your experience working with, like, if you work with startups in other countries, is it different to the environment, as in ease of doing business?
Yeah, I think maybe in different countries you have more support, you have more benchmark, and you have always some leaders where you can follow. But sometimes here in Sri Lanka, because you are more starting up, you know, there is no benchmark, there is
Yeah.
no 3 or 4 competitors you can follow.
That's true.
Sometimes, most of the time, you're the first one
First.
because you got the idea,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
then when you look around, there is not much to help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You know, there is a lot of people putting barriers
Yeah.
for you not to succeed. I think it's also one of the characteristics of Sri Lanka. Sometimes we don't want new too
things.
much, you know. So we realize that yes, you have a lot of barriers, but who's helping you to open these barriers, you know? And that's where this accelerator program, I feel, are like a kind of booster that suddenly make the things a little bit more possible,
Yeah.
you know. And you can see with the some of the business we've been managing
Yeah.
together, suddenly they can see some kind of new ways, right?
True. That's true. I think it's pretty much the same. I feel the same way for sure. So this is the first time I've been working with startups like this, right? And with an accelerator program, basically. So I started off with GLX about 6-7 months ago, and the climate adaptation program was the first I've done of that kind. I mean, I've been to I've seen how these programs work, I've been to them, but I've never been part of it. And it was honestly it was awe-inspiring as well, because seeing these startups, I mean, see, my experience, I worked with people who already have most of the resources in place, right? And they just need the expertise to go forward. Like they have the funding, they have the assets, they may be needing 1 or 2 elements, but most of it is pretty much sorted for them. But in terms of these companies, some of them basically they don't have anything but the idea, right? And it's amazing how resilient they are and how motivated they are to move forward even without having any kind of resources with them, right? And that's why I feel like these kind of programs really help them get to where they are, because obviously they don't have any other help from any other, like from government, like you said, to so many other areas. They don't know where to. They have the idea, they want to do that, they have the motivation for it, but they don't know how to get there. And that's why these kind of programs really help. And I feel the climate adaptation program as well, because we worked with a lot of agriculture companies, right? And they so the theme here was climate adaptation, as in how do you adjust your business to deal with climate change. And that is something I don't think none of them had really heard of until this program, and they really learned so much from it. How do they plan for the future, basically, right? And some some of them just had the idea and they needed to build their business. So they're building their business knowing these facts already on how to adjust to climate change and build their business from that. And I feel that's why these kind of programs really help. And having a theme like this, climate adaptation, to maybe there's another program happening called regeneration. So knowing those concepts and building your business based on that is really important, I feel, for the future. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree, you know, and okay, it's true that we are supported by some assistance from other countries
Yeah.
to give them a little bit of funding.
Yeah.
But you realize that these guys sometimes they just need a little bit of boost,
Guidance.
also guidance and financial boost,
Yeah.
just to achieve the next step.
Yeah.
You know, and it's in this country there is not a big culture of bank helping startups, you know, so it's very difficult to find this first boost, you know, and bringing the a little bit of funding and the coaching and the expertise at the same time in parallel like this,
Yeah.
it works very
It's
well.
perfect,
Yeah,
yes.
because
Yeah.
otherwise the financial blockage, most of the time will make you give up on the idea. Where you have somebody to support you mentally and businessly, and a little bit of funding to reach the next step.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're in business.
Yeah.
And I really like this approach.
Yeah.
Success story.
Yes.
Champion narrative. Okay, share a startup stay of triumph. This could be a take of innovation, resilience, of positive influence. So, yes, basically, do you have an idea of one startup that really?
It's tough to think of one really. I would say from my previous work experience before the accelerator program, I worked with. Okay, so there was this one company that they had a lot of assets in terms of like family-owned businesses, right? A lot of cultivation land to commercial buildings and all of that, but they were pretty stagnant, and most of that was not even used, and it was a real waste basically, right? So I went to them with for some like a very small project, a business proposal kind of project, but then I got into their portfolio and I realized that, oh my gosh, they have so much potential, and it's just that they didn't have the resources in terms of management and all of that to run the entire operation, and also they didn't have the interest in it basically to start anything. But so I gave them this idea, especially for the plantation, the cultivation lands, to start growing coconut and all of that. So I worked with a few like people in that field as well, and people in that area. It was somewhere in Nigambo, and I got them started on those things again. And I feel like that was really good, because it was a waste, right, of a resource, and they have so much of it, and they're just doing nothing with it. So I'm glad I managed to help them start up again, and also from their family's perspective. So they're like a really old family, and generational kind of passing down the business from generation to generation. So they were happy that everything is kind of back running again, so that was a really good experience, and I'm quite rewarding as well, and I'm glad that things worked out like that. There's another one, a tourism, a hotel in Alla. It was quite interesting because I worked with them for about 6-7 months, started their business, and also watched them build it, and helped them with HR and the marketing and all of that. So that was interesting. But from this program, I would say the Climate Adaptation Program, basically all 10 companies, more or less, pretty inspired me, because they all have their own stories. They all have their own challenges that they faced, and they've somehow overcome those, and some of them, they basically have no resources, like I said, but then they really want to get where they want to be, and that's amazing for me, and that's more inspiring for me than I feel like any of the other companies I've worked with, because it's a tougher journey, right, to get there, and so It's been really inspiring. I like
Even
all of them.
when you think about one of our clients we work with, Mr. Janaka,
Yes.
who basically lost everything when he has a small tour agency business
Yeah.
before bombing and before COVID.
Yeah.
And during these 3 years of disaster and crisis, he basically lost everything. And
Yeah.
the only thing he has left is his family, his
Exactly.
house, and his love for nature. Basically, what do you do with that? Zero money,
I
you know?
know.
And look, we managed to put a business model in his mind, try to see how can you use your assets and your love and your passion into a business. And suddenly, when you, after a few meetings, you know, these guys start to see that, yes, his name is wrong. Tourmate, you know, like an Australian company.
Yeah.
Yeah, change it into Eco Escape, you know,
True.
which makes suddenly, yes, I can do homestay. Yes, I
Yeah.
can do a river tour.
Yeah.
And suddenly, yes, so with the river, I can take care of the river and at the same time make money.
Yeah.
With this money, I can do my homestay. With the homestay, I can reinvest
Yeah.
into mangrove conservation. Suddenly, this guy had a pathway,
Yeah.
and suddenly he has a new model, you know. And you see how fast he went now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's every day he's on the net. He's introducing his business model everywhere. He's trying very hard, and from somebody who has nothing except love for nature and lost everything during COVID time. I think it's a beautiful story, and I hope it will be a
Yeah.
real success story. It's a little bit too early, but that's
Yeah.
what startup are all about,
Yeah.
you know, starting up. So this was a beautiful story,
Oh,
and I
for
hope
sure. For sure.
it's gonna make it. Yeah.
Any anything else you can think of?
I have another business I like, but it's a little bit confidential right now. But
Okay.
again, someone who just got an idea about tour guiding, and said it's so difficult to be a tour guide, to know a lot, to have all this information, to speak different languages, and she developed an app to be a virtual tour guide, you
Nice.
know, in Sri Lanka, to encourage also having more good information about each site, about each city or town, you know, and giving the chance to tourists to have proper information in their own language,
That's
you know.
amazing.
And I think she started that, maybe a year ago, just out of the blue like this, and now it's getting
That's
there,
amazing.
and it's so great again to see that you have great site, you have great people, you have great technology, but the dots are not connected. And when she did the ad, you know, and the ad is bringing the technology to help people, you know, to promote Sri Lanka, then everything is makes a lot of sense. And I hope that's going to be another
That's a really good
startup.
idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we done?
Let's do it again. Let's accelerate the accelerators.
So I don't know, key takeaways. I feel like from my experience working as a consultant, and also my basically my life up now, is that it's okay to not know where you're going when you start off in life, right? And not have a clear plan on where exactly you want to be, but then you can try things and test out and see whether this works for you best. And also you learn so much from that experience of working in different industries and seeing where you fit, and that has helped me a lot, right? So I would say a majority of people don't know where they are headed when they just come out of school, right? Some of them have it all figured out, but not all do. And for them, it's good to try things and test, and then see where you fit in best. And for me, creating a difference and helping people, and working with businesses to basically do something better in the world is it's what makes me happy, right? And the other thing is that working with large corporates, even for a little while, I think anyone starting out should do that for a little while just to get that experience.
Yes.
So just two things that I feel like just wanted to.
Yes, and we cannot expect a country to develop just out of doctors, lawyers, and engineers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And it's great to fail. It's great to try, because at one point, if all these people start to create, be innovative, Sri Lanka will be better.
True.
And will be leading its development. So
Okay.
we need to help them.
Yeah, that's true.